I love it. I love it. Wow, I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? What's good? UFC 292, Aljamain Sterling taking on Sean O'Malley. My goodness, I cannot wait. As always, guys, before we make predictions, here's my bets from last week. I had a nice parlay with McKinney and a Morim, and that should have been where I left it, but I ended up losing a quarter unit because I had RDA as a straight bet. However, on Contender Series, we do remain undefeated, and hopefully we can continue that with next week's show. I had Hyder and Mill at -170, and that ended up closing like -250. Now guys, into Money City we go before we make picks, and there is so many Money City comments that I shall spark the blunt. You love to see it. You know, look all these people representing the gang, the Money City gang. And shout out to my boys on the Discord. Obviously, that's the Money City gang. But yeah, guys, look at this. It's all money. It's all profit. And I kind of feel like the Money City gods would want us to return, you know? So let's do it again. UFC 292. Let's go. Alright, moving into a matchup between Maryna Moroz taking on Karine Silva. Now guys, this is a rematch taking place 9 years after their first matchup, where Maryna Moroz was able to find an armbar stoppage in their first fight, in the first round. Fast forward to the present day, and both of these fighters have made significant improvements since their first matchup. Karine Silva's been delivering really good performances. Her ground game is massively improved. Her takedown offense is really good, and her ability to blend her strikes together in the stand-up is also noticeable. Now on the flip side, Maryna does have more experience. Her grappling's good and her boxing's good. It's not like Maryna Moroz is an easy matchup. However guys, I do believe Karine Silva's improved a lot since their first matchup, and that's why I'm going to side with Karine to win the rematch. I think her takedowns are probably good to go. She's a better kicker and her ground game's much improved. So for those reasons, I am going to side with Karine Silva. Alright, moving into a matchup between Andrea Lee taking on Natalia Silva. And guys, when it comes to Andrea Lee, she's one of these fighters who has impressive credentials, but hasn't really managed to fully showcase all of those weapons being put together. Her skill set is jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, judo. Andrea Lee's skill set is undeniably a well-rounded skill set. However, the real challenge in fighting lies in putting all of your weapons together on a specific day at a specific time, and that's like been the most difficult thing for Andrea Lee, and it's the most difficult thing for anyone to do if you're a fighter. And I did take Andrea Lee as a big underdog against Macy Barber. I kind of felt like she got robbed, but the overall story for Andrea Lee, in my opinion, is she's not dominant enough, right? Now on the flip side, Natalia Silva's displayed dominance. Her kicking ability is really good, nothing short of excellent. To be honest guys, I'd go as far to say watching Natalia Silva kick has been an honour. Like, her kicking is really good. Her technique, you know, it's a blend of speed and power. And to be honest guys, sometimes when you've got a fighter that's really quick, you can sometimes lose a bit of technique. But that's not the case with Natalia Silva. You know, her kicks are speed, power and flawless technique. So yeah, in my opinion, Natalia Silva's probably gonna dust Andrea Lee. Alright, moving into a matchup between Gerald Meerschaert taking on Andre Petroski. And in my opinion, Gerald Meerschaert's the American version of Paul Craig. GM3's jiu-jitsu skills are clearly at a super good level. However, if we set aside his jiu-jitsu, just put that to the side for a second, and then look at other areas such as boxing, footwork, durability, cardio, kicking, defense, it becomes really evident that Gerald Meerschaert's not world class in all of those areas, similar to Paul Craig. So we kind of find ourselves in a situation where GM3's jiu-jitsu can secure him victories, right? But there's a lot of weaknesses. Now on the flip side, Petroski is similar to GM3 in the sense that his jiu-jitsu is extremely good. Petroski's jiu-jitsu it's high level, and his wrestling is better than GM3's. He's also physically stronger than GM3, and there's also more stopping power on the feet. So those are going to be the main differences between Petroski and GM3, and for those differences, for those reasons, I'm going to side with Petroski. In my opinion, it's a really good matchup for Petroski. You know, he's not dealing with a super good kicker or a super good boxer. He's dealing with a guy that likes to play jiu-jitsu, and Petroski also likes to play jiu-jitsu. So it's a good matchup. Give me Petroski. Alright, moving into a matchup between Gregory Rodrigues taking on Denis Tiuliulin, and this is a weird matchup. Now, Gregory Rodrigues was completely dusted in his last matchup. Hooked up to the Shadow City server as we know it. Now guys, Gregory Rodrigues does have superior jiu-jitsu skills compared to his opponent Denis Tiuliulin. He also has decent Muay Thai striking. However, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Muay Thai strikers do not move their head. Their head movement's just pretty non-existent. In mixed martial arts, if your head movement isn't there, you're going to pay for it at some point. Now, Denis Tiuliulin in some ways resembles like a Russian version of Sean Strickland, and they do train together. Tiuliulin prefers a close quarter combat style, essentially wants to stay right in the pocket and capitalize on the boxing, you know, similar to Sean Strickland, you know, jabbing in the pocket, boxing in the pocket. He wants to be in that Sean Strickland jab range. He doesn't want to play like a chess match, similar to Adesanya. He wants like an old school boxing matchup. Now guys, in my opinion, it's obviously a risky bet to make, considering Rodrigues doesn't have good head movement and questionable cardio. And on the flip side, Denis doesn't have good grappling, and he's also one-dimensional in the sense that he just wants to box. I think it's going to be a fun matchup though. It's going to be a good fight. I'm going to side with Gregory Rodrigues, aka Violent Obama. Alright, moving into a matchup between Chris Weidman taking on Brad Tavares. And guys, Chris Weidman's been away for a couple years because he broke his leg. Now, if you're somebody that's not seen the video of Chris Weidman breaking his leg, there's no reason to watch it. Absolutely disgusting, as you'd expect. Now guys, in my opinion, Chris Weidman's back for money. He's not really back because he wants to fight at 39 years old. He's back for money, in my opinion. Now guys, just because I believe Chris Weidman is back just to get paid, it doesn't mean he's got no chance at winning this matchup. Of course he's still got a chance. But guys, remember, as a gambler, it's your job to identify the chances that every fighter has. And in my opinion, I don't think Chris Weidman's got a good chance this weekend. The reason why I don't think he's got a good chance, he's really old. He's coming back from a broken leg. His cardio's not as good, his wrestling's not as good. His chin is really dusty. So I think there's quite a few reasons as to why Chris Weidman doesn't have a good chance this weekend. And obviously Brad Tavares has been dusted in his last two fights, but Dracus is good and Bruno Silva packs power. Those two opponents are by far more challenging than a 39 post broken leg Chris Weidman. So my prediction will be Brad Tavares to win this weekend. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, that's always been a triple amen gang. Let's go. Now guys, I've not broke down the Ultimate Fighter matchups because I've been capping the Contender Series. I've also been capping the first week of the Premier League fixtures, so I've not had time to go back and rewatch the Ultimate Fighter. However, I will do that tonight and leave my Ultimate Fighter predictions in the pinned comment below. Also guys, for the main event breakdown and prediction on this card, we're going to spend an extra few minutes breaking down that matchup. We're going to spend a few minutes longer than what we normally do, just because I want to speak about the gambling side of that matchup and also speak about the matchup itself. And really I should be doing that for like every single matchup, but then the breakdown would be like over an hour. But yeah, we are going to speak a little bit longer on the Sean O'Malley and Aljamain matchup. Alright, let's go. Alright, moving into a matchup between Blackshear taking on Bautista, and much respect to Blackshear for stepping up and taking this matchup on short notice. And just a few days ago, his opponent done the same thing. Now, without a doubt, Blackshear once again proved his grappling skills to be very, very good. He was able to stop Jose Johnson with a twister. And you don't typically end fights with twisters unless your jiu-jitsu is extremely good. However, his opponent Jose Johnson would kind of struggle to defend a takedown even if he had a double barrel shotgun pointed to his head. On the flip side, his up-and-coming opponent Mario Bautista does indeed possess strong offensive and defensive wrestling skills. And obviously his jiu-jitsu is not on the same level as Blackshear, but his takedown defense is certainly good enough. And guys, looking at Mario's boxing, it's very good. And if he can defend takedowns from Blackshear, I would be kind of surprised if he lost this matchup in the kickboxing. So yeah guys, respect to Blackshear for accepting this matchup after a really impressive win. However, in my opinion, Mario Bautista probably defends the takedowns, then goes on to outstrike his opponent, potentially finding a TKO stoppage. So my prediction will be Mario Bautista to win this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Marlon Vera taking on Pedro Muhnoz, and my goodness what a matchup this is going to be. Both Marlon Vera and Pedro Muhnoz have demonstrated remarkable evolution in their games, transitioning from high-level jiu-jitsu players to proficient strikers. And both of these guys are capable of holding their own in a kickboxing matchup. They're really good strikers these days. Pedro Muhnoz, just like Marlon Vera, has progressed his striking to a level where it's effective. Now, Pedro Muhnoz has nasty, powerful calf kicks, and Marlon Vera is happy to engage in a kick-for-kick matchup. He's always willing to showcase his toughness and willingness to compete. And guys, it's also worth knowing that Marlon Vera doesn't typically shine early in the fight, doesn't typically shine in round one, often concedes round one. However, as the matchup progresses, he tends to find his rhythm, delivering devastating elbows and impactful kicks that usually damage the opponent and forces the opponent to spill blood onto the canvas. That's just what Marlon Vera does. Now this matchup does promise to be insanely good, and my prediction is that Pedro Muhnoz may initially look good early in the fight, but eventually I think he's going to be drawn into a classic Marlon Vera matchup, and I may potentially look for an in-play bet on Marlon Vera. I love the grappling on both sides. I think both guys are really good strikers these days. Pedro Muhnoz with the calf kicks, heavy hands, explosive, quick, good Muay Thai. And same with Marlon Vera, super tough, super game to compete, to bring the opponent into a dogfight. I'm going to side with Marlon Chito Vera. Let's go. Alright, moving into a matchup between Garry taking on Magny. And guys, Garry is indeed the future. His striking is so crisp, it's sharp, it's fast, it's powerful, it's difficult to compete with. He's really as good as he makes himself out to be. I've not picked against Garry as of yet, and it's been nothing but profits on profits on profits. And I think it's fair to say Garry has a lot of potential, and he is fulfilling that potential fight by fight. Now Magny is obviously a veteran, a very experienced fighter, but how does he win this matchup? He's not got more power than Garry, he's not quicker, and he's just looking like really bad in his most recent performances. And I'm not trying to be unfair to Magny, but that's just how the game goes. You know, as you get older, you do decline fight to fight, and that's what we're seeing with Magny. If you're going to beat Garry, you've got to be quicker. You've got to have more power. That's not two things that Magny's got in this matchup. I don't think he's even got the grappling advantage. You know, he could try to push Garry against the fence, but I don't even see him having success with that game plan. I think it's a very difficult matchup for Magny, but the guy's a gangster. You know, he will fight anyone. He fought Shavkat. He's now fighting another prospect. But I don't really see Magny doing well against Garry. I do think Ian's the real deal. He's the future. And I think he's going to dust Magny. Alright, moving into a matchup between Weili Zhang taking on Amanda Lemos. And guys, it's entirely justifiable to say Amanda Lemos does deserve to fight for a UFC championship. Her victory over Maryna Rodrigues was super impressive. Completely dusted a Muay Thai striker. And it's worth noting that Weili Zhang comes from a Sanda background, which is Chinese kickboxing. And Weili's kickboxing is undeniably super good, and it's characterized by an abundance of power. It's almost as if when God created Weili Zhang, he said, here's an extra dosage of power and have more and have more. Now guys, the opponent Amanda Lemos does possess outstanding jiu-jitsu skills, and it's essential for Weili Zhang to acknowledge that aspect of Amanda Lemos, particularly early in the fight before both fighters are sweaty and it's easier to execute submission attempts. However guys, Amanda Lemos does face a really, really difficult challenge, a 25-minute matchup, a title matchup. It's going to be difficult, and sometimes when champions are made, they kind of prove their championship quality by winning in the championship rounds. Not all of the time, but sometimes. But I don't really see that being the case for Amanda Lemos. I think if Amanda Lemos does win this matchup, more than likely it would be a round 1 or round 2 stoppage. So in my opinion, if we get 10 minutes into this matchup, it's pretty fair to assume the champion would show the challenger why she's the champion. And guys, here's the thing. When the going gets tough, champions stay champions, or champions are made. Let me say that again. When the going gets tough, champions stay champions, or champions are made. And those are facts. And those are facts that really make me love mixed martial arts. And that's going to be my prediction. I'm going to side with Weili Zhang to stay champion. Alright, moving into the main event. And my goodness, what a main event. We've got Sean O'Malley taking on Aljamain Sterling. And my goodness, I cannot wait. Now guys, let's get straight into the obvious information. Super obvious. Clearly, Aljamain Sterling excels as a wrestler and in the jiu-jitsu. He's a far better wrestler and jiu-jitsu player, and also backpack specialist compared to Sean O'Malley. So Aljamain Sterling's game plan is very evident. We've seen it multiple times and we're probably going to see it again. So when Aljamain Sterling gets Sean O'Malley to the mat, the potential for a submission, a stoppage on the mat, or even winning that round based on the work that he does on the mat, it's all possible. Now guys, on the flip side, Sean O'Malley without a doubt holds the striking advantage. His striking skills is much better than Aljamain Sterling's. So if this matchup's on the feet, Sean O'Malley's got a massive advantage, similar to Aljo's advantage on the mat. It's pretty straightforward. Aljamain Sterling wins on the mat or Sean O'Malley wins on the feet. However, some gamblers now face a critical question. If Aljamain Sterling is better on the mat and Sean's better on the feet, how do I bet? Who do I bet? Now for me personally, it's a very simple question to answer, because the gambling game is very challenging and I like to keep it as simple as I could possibly keep it. Kind of similar to the game show The Cube. Has anyone seen the game show The Cube? Basically the contestants can simplify the game, which gives them a better chance at winning. This is what I like to do with gambling, and it's helped me stay profitable, right? So I like to just simplify it. For me guys, the gambling game's about chance and risk and liability. So for me personally, I'm not going to be investing at minus 250 on Aljamain Sterling. Despite his advantage on the mat, his disadvantage is clearly on the feet. So I'd have to disagree with the bookmaker and say Aljamain Sterling does not have a 72% chance at winning this weekend. And that's really how I simplify gambling on UFC. We can speak about Aljo's grappling, we can speak about Sean's striking, but what's the chances? Now, if I disagree straight away that Aljamain doesn't have a 72% chance, then I'm not going to bet it. It doesn't matter how dominant he is on the mat. If I don't see him having a 72% chance or more, then there's no investment to be made. Now guys, if I truly believed that Sterling had a 72% chance, then I would bet on him. No hesitation. But I don't think his odds exceed that, given his disadvantage in the striking. For Aljamain Sterling to defend his title against Sean O'Malley, takedowns and maintaining control on the mat will be crucial, or even finding a rear naked choke or an armbar stoppage. In my opinion guys, Sean O'Malley's the only worthwhile financial investment, with a betting line of plus 225 and a clear striking advantage. He's 6 years younger than Aljamain Sterling and he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. His striking advantage is that big, he could potentially KO Aljamain Sterling. And guys, for all the people that think, Aljo's got a big grappling advantage, he's going to easily get takedowns. Look at Aljamain Sterling against Marlon Moroz. What happened? Aljamain Sterling shot a really lazy takedown, most telegraphed takedown you've ever seen. And what happened? dusted. And guys, I know us gamblers and us fans are sometimes guilty of thinking in really simplistic terms, even though I was just speaking about how you should really simplify the gambling game. But guys, when we think about some matchups, sometimes we think, you know, this guy's got a grappling advantage, he's easily going to get takedowns. But sometimes it's not as simple as that. You know, achieving a takedown at the highest level, it's not easy. You have to really set your takedowns up. You know, you've got to put the pieces together. It's not simple. And even against somebody that's, you know, at a grappling disadvantage, which Sean O'Malley is, right? He's at a big grappling disadvantage. However, guys, Sean O'Malley's one of the most dynamic strikers. He's really unorthodox. Really switches stances a lot. He's showing you so many different feints that you've never seen before. And some people might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with grappling? Kinda everything. Because if you're a really good striker, or let's look at it from a wrestler's perspective. If you're a wrestler and you're on the feet and you want the fight on the mat, let's say your opponent is a really, really, really good striker. You've got to set it up. You can't make mistakes. If you make a mistake, you know your opponent is that good. He can punish you. To get him a takedown against somebody that you have a grappling advantage over, sometimes it's not easy. Especially when they're moving in a way that Sean O'Malley does move. Especially when they've got so many feints, so many weapons. Obviously when Aljo does get the fight to the mat, the hard work's been done. You know, it's getting the fight to the mat. But the point I'm making to you is this. Just because Sean O'Malley's at a disadvantage doesn't mean the takedowns are going to be easy. Because like I said, Sean's moving in a way that most fighters don't move. He's showing you so many different feints. And that's going to be a challenge for Aljamain Sterling. So guys, for me personally, I don't believe Aljamain Sterling has over a 72% chance. And because of that, it makes it quite easy to lean towards the underdog, the big underdog, Sean O'Malley. And of course, if the fight goes to the mat, Aljamain's going to look like a lock. If the fight stays on the feet, Sean O'Malley might look like a lock, right? It's not going to look like a 50-50 matchup because Aljamain has got the advantage in one place and Sean's got the advantage in the other place. So it depends where the fight takes place. But for me personally, again, I just don't believe Aljamain's got over a 72% chance. And that's the reason why I'm going to side with Sean O'Malley to win this matchup at big plus money. As always, guys, drop down your MoneyCity plays, your main event, your co-main event, your parlays, your bets, all that good stuff. Drop in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.